Welcome back, Doug, to Humble Hospitality.
I love it.
Yeah, we're at episode 3.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue to pick up with where we left off with the exploring the path of humble hospitality, right? Hence, humble pie shirt. We got our new shirts in.
We did, absolutely.
Thanks to the chief of staff.
Yeah, well, yeah, we got all of our merch now. It was actually on our website. So you go to kylegseafood.com. Ayala Films is going to put the link right above my head. Thanks for that, Andres. Yeah, all of our shirts are on there, our branded shirts with each of the restaurants.
And some of my favorite sayings you'll hear me say a lot during our podcast and YouTube videos, and more to come.
I suggest the boom shirt.
Boom shirt. Gotta boom.
Yeah.
So going into our quest of leadership, we're going to cover one of my favorite books.
Okay.
Right? And one of the things that I'm really excited about to share with you and our audience is this book is really kind of going to help launch based on, if you listen to episode 2, managing oneself, right?
Right.
So when we discussed last week, we discussed how to be an effective leader, because the hardest person to lead is yourself.
Right.
Therefore, once you determine that you can lead yourself, well, now the question is what do you lead yourself with? What are the tools? And this book I came across years and years ago, and I read it, and what it did for me was it helped me identify the tools in the toolbox.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So as a leader, it's not just one thing to be able to lead yourself and set a good example. You've got to be able to understand the parameters of what you're doing, like an auto mechanic, or you bring your car to an auto mechanic and they're like, I don't know, it's not working. I don't know how to fix a car.
Yeah.
So tell you right now, like, I don't know, it makes weird noises and doesn't go down the road. They're gonna discern what it is, figure it out, they're gonna diagnose it, they're gonna pull some tools out of their toolbox, right? It's not like they're just gonna get out a sledgehammer and just hit the car every time, because if that's the one tool you have, it's not gonna be effective. So, right, do I have a hammer? Yeah, I got a hammer in my box. Do I need to use it every time? No. So, to me, one of the most challenging things, specifically for new leaders, is to understand the concept of having to lead yourself. And then the second most challenging thing is being able to understand what tools to use to be that effective leader you aspire to be. So this book, written by John Maxwell, it's one of like 25 of his books, all focused on leadership, is called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And so it breaks down 21 different laws that he's come to determine, and what's great about it is each law has a little bit of a story. So this podcast is going to be a 3-part series.
Okay.
Otherwise I'd have you here for like 9 hours. As much fun as I would have with that, I don't think you would. Because listen, I can talk about leadership for just hours on end. I'm good with it.
I remember.
Yeah, listen, we'll do it. But so I broke this down. So shapes, numbers, colors. Mm-hmm. We all learned them very early on. So 21 laws. We're going to cover 7 chapters over 3 episodes.
Okay.
7 times 3, 21, and we're going to have a very good understanding of these tools inside our leadership toolbox.
Excellent.
Now, let me ask you a question. A lot of leadership books out there. 4 of this, 4 tools, 3 laws, 21 laws. Mm-hmm. All these authors, we learn from Jimmy Knott. It's what you got to watch his videos. We'll cover his book probably at some point. But you learn it's 3 things. It's character, competency, relational connection, right? John Maxwell says it's 21. He actually has books that says 7 habits of highly effective leaders. He has other books. Is it 7, 21? Okay. Yeah. Is it 7, 21, 3, 5, 19, 101? How many is it? What do you think?
1.
It's all of them, but it's none of them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because there's so many, it all depends upon the scenario, the circumstance, the people in which you're leading, about those relational connections, because people are crazy, right? Yeah. We're all a little on the nutso side from each other's perspective. So It's really about understanding that and having, what context are you having to lead these individuals in, right? So in the restaurant world, we don't get a lot of training in our early years of how to be good, effective leaders. It's just, it's like, hey, get out there and go put those fires out, hopefully, because we're busy, we're in the shits, it's going on, and we need to get in there. And it's most people in the restaurant world, at least in my experience, it's can you do the job, right? You sink or swim, and either you're successful at it or you're not. And what ends up happening is you either rise to the occasion, or you're like, forget this, I'm out. I want to go do something. I'll go drive for Uber. You know what I mean? And a lot of the challenges are if people really knew the tools and strategy of how to be better leaders, whether it's the leaders themselves or the people on the front lines, in the floor, at the host stand, behind the hotline, in the prep room, this is an amazing career. I mean, this career has taken me all over the country. I've been able to travel different places of the world and really interact and understand cultures through food and open tremendous opportunities. I've met some of the most amazing people in my life. And that's one of the things that, people say, oh yeah, you're in the food service industry, and they're used to watching these garbage shows on Food Network now, like Nailed It and Worst Chef Ever and America's whatever, worst cook in the world, and like that is such a miserable showing of how just beautiful our industry really and truly is, right? And so again, through the proper tools and channels of leadership, you can unlock that with individuals and really make this an amazing career and life-changing industry. Does that make sense? So before we get into material, like we did last episode, we're going to dig into why we should listen to this author. Who is this person? Why did he write 23 books, a lot of them being New York Times bestsellers? Like, what are those messages and why are they important to me, whether me as going through this, or me as the person listening to this,
right? And
trying to, apply these principles, not just to being a better line cook, manager, sous chef, bartender, but how can I be a better friend, a better father, a better mother, a better cousin, whatever, right? Like, because this is all relationship building.
Right.
So, John Maxwell, I'm going to be brief on it because fortunately, Mr. Maxwell is still alive and he's putting out new stuff every day. You can find him at johnmaxwell.com. I do not know him personally, but I have read his books for many years, so I do respect him. I know he's in Palm Beach Gardens.
Excellent.
I have some mutual friends that know him and have communicated with him, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Best-selling author, 20 minutes down the road.
Yeah.
Hopefully one day he comes and joins us at a restaurant.
Yeah, invite him in for dinner.
Be happy to. Open invitation, Mr. Maxwell, if somehow by any chance through the cosmos you happen to get this. But no, seriously, thank you for what you've done. You've changed my life, and I can only imagine thousands more. So, Mr. Maxwell, February 20th, 1947. He was born in Garden City, Michigan. He's an author, speaker, and pastor. Again, many New York Times best-selling titles. I'm going to keep it brief so we can get into the content.
Absolutely.
He followed his father into ministry. He got his bachelor's in Circleville Bible College. Then he got a Master of Divinity, and then later a Doctor of Ministry. And I don't know enough about all of that, but it sounds pretty complicated.
Yeah.
And he's certainly a very well-educated individual. So, when he's writing books or speaking, we're going to pay attention to those that put that amount of time, energy, commitment, dedication, and their own personal leadership into these things. And kind of like what we've discussed is, so what are some of, have we discussed this? I don't know. I'm going to ask the question again in case we have or haven't, because I talk about this all the time. So sometimes I have dreams I discuss about these things. But, what are some organizations in the world today that have a very long track record over generations of providing and developing leadership?
You haven't asked that before, no?
No, I asked somebody else this.
Yeah, no.
Some other handsome fellow.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. You're just saying wearing a chef coat.
I am.
I don't know.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, give me. I'm sure people watching this are like, why is he? You'll understand.
Yeah, it's all part of the cliffhanger at the end.
Yeah. No, give me the examples. Which ones?
All right. So I'm sure there's many, but I think of two. I think of the church, and I think of the military.
Okay.
Because they're constantly learning, evolving, and they have positions of leadership that they're continuing to develop continuing to develop leaders,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the lifeblood of their organization, and they're two very fundamental things in society from I don't know, the dawn of time. So you know what I mean?
Beginning of ever. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you think of the amount of study in history that they've and good and bad examples that they have had through generations that they've been able to study and apply and learn from and develop and adapt, and you think of the amount of lives that both of these channels touch and influence, because that's leadership is influence. They've had hundreds, thousands of years of history of doing this.
Yeah.
And it's still around today, so I would say that that's a pretty good proof of concept.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's check. They figured it out.
Yeah,
So,
no, they did.
so when we think about leadership, those are some areas in which I look to kind of get some idea of, okay, well, what does work? It's not like I'm just sitting here in the corner and I'm like, hey, we're gonna reinvent the leadership wheel, and I'm gonna start a podcast and be like, hey guys, listen to me. No, I don't know it all. I look to those that excuse me, I look to those that gone before and provide and have, track records and these things. And then look at it through, okay, well, what are my strengths? What are my abilities to contribute to my team, my community, et cetera, et cetera. But back to Mr. Maxwell. Currently teaching as a pastor since 2004 at Christ Fellowship in Palm Beach Gardens. And he speaks annually about leadership to Fortune 500 companies, the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, many sports leagues, and pretty much a leading expert in today's world of leadership. JohnMaxwell.com. You can sign up for a lot of his courses. You can do a lot of things. Again, I don't know him. No affiliation here. No commission. No nothing. It's
just a general fan of his work.
A general fan. Not looking for it. The idea here is to help build the leadership concept and help people learn and understand and even take it deeper than this 3-part episode. So with that,
how do you have a doctorate in ministry? Does that make him a doctor priest?
That you did.
Which would you call him first? Father, doctor, doctor?
Dr. Father?
Dr. Father.
That's a great question, Mr. Poole. I'm going to leave that up to the professionals.
All right.
So what's great about Mr. Maxwell is somehow I came across the PDF version of this, and this is one of the books that when you come onto the new leadership team, well, before you come onto my leadership team, I'm like, hey, read this book and tell me what you got out of it, right? We talk about this, extreme ownership, which we'll cover at some point, and the Jimmy Knott videos. And I say, these are the 3 things I want you to kind of take and look and read and give me a quick summary of what you got out of this book. So what you learn. And a lot of times the feedback I get is, well, you know what, I kind of do that and I didn't know that was a thing. Or they're like, hey, I saw that, I read this, and something happened in my past experience, whether it was professional or personal, and they say, that was exactly what happened, that was a great leader, that was a poor leader, et cetera, et cetera. So I've got, I'm dying like you were.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait till the blooper reel comes out for this, and you guys see me having my cough attack.
Well, you know what it is worked out this morning at the gym.
Yeah.
Getting it done.
Get it done.
Right.
Yeah.
And a little too much milk, a little too much vanilla gorilla. It's a protein shake. Don't worry, it wasn't anything weird. My protein powder. And,
I'm glad that you specified that.
Listen, gotta make sure there's no poor interpretations here. All right. So anyway, I opened this up and I highlighted their dedication work because I thought this was a great context of what this book is and how great it is, and kind of a little bit, when I read that I was like, oh, that makes sense, because that's kind of how I feel about this podcast. So the dedication is to the hundreds of thousands of people to whom I've taught leadership over the years through conferences and books, and to you, the person wanting to become a better leader, because everything rises and falls on leadership. Everything, right? What does Jimmy Knott say? He says all about leadership. Jocko says leadership's the most important thing in the battlefield, right?
Yeah.
So all these things, everything rises and falls on leadership. Your success of your organization rises and falls on leadership. I've had people ask me all the time, like, how are you expanding? How are you guys maintaining this? Usually when someone opens another restaurant, they get spread too thin. And it's about people, it's about characters, about those relationships. And again, it all rises and falls on leadership. And what my team knows, I don't care if you know how to do anything. If you're gonna be a leader, I mean, obviously you need to know the tasks.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But I tell my team all the time, build your leadership competency, which is what we get into here. So
Excellent.
I highlighted a segment from the foreword. We mentioned this a little briefly. It says, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership is a powerful, definitive statement of the timeless laws you simply must follow if you want to be a great leader, at home, on the job, in church, or whenever you are called on to lead. So kind of going with the idea of this is the toolbox of a leader, right? To really dig into understanding what and how to apply certain situations and concepts to whatever it is you're doing in whatever industry you are. Again, humble hospitality through the lens of hospitality, service, restaurant, guest, team member, community, vendor, all of it. So here we go. Chapter 1. This is my favorite one, by the way.
Oh.
There's a lot of favorite ones, but this is my favorite one. It's not because it's number 1,
Okay.
but it's really cool.
But it's like the favorite one.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. There's a close second, but this is the first one. But again, you guys saw me skipping through pages. I'm paraphrasing. I've picked out certain segments of this. You got to buy the book. Apparently, I was able to download it somewhere. I don't remember where. This was years and years ago. But I was able to extract it from the interwebs and the emails. And I went to buy it because I want to actually have the book on for camera, but wasn't gonna get here in time, so I improvise. So
hey, you got it done.
We got it done. Get it done, right? So first, sorry for the anticipation. First one, chapter, the law of the lid. Leadership ability determines a person's level of effectiveness. Right, I'm gonna give that one to you again. Leadership ability determines a person's level of effectiveness. Make sense? A lid, like a cap, like a ceiling.
Yes.
So your leadership effectiveness determines, or your ability determines how effective you are.
Yeah.
So let's dig into a fun story. Another reason why I like this one is, well, it's a story about a restaurant. So it's a great way to start this off.
Yeah.
Right? So, we're going to the book. Let me tell you a story that illustrates the law of the lid. In 1930, 2 young brothers named Dick and Maurice moved from New Hampshire to California in search of the American dream. So they headed straight for Hollywood, where they eventually found jobs on a movie studio set. Despite all their efforts, the brothers just couldn't make the business profitable. In 4 years, they ran the theater. They weren't able to consistently generate enough money to pay $100 a month rent that their landlord required. You know what's the best part about this story is?
No, what?
You're gonna find out. The way he wrote this. And by the way, he wrote this in '97. So this is 4 years old now at this point. So it's really cool. Just it's almost 3 decades old, and it still pertains to what we do today. But again, as we just discussed, leadership is generations in the making. So this is and having a doctorate of ministry. Thank you. I was going to say divinity, but that was the master of divinity. Yeah. The doctor of ministry. I would imagine they studied a lot of leadership from decades and generations on. I'm assuming.
I don't think it is.
I've never really looked into the curriculum, but I'm going to take an educated guess here. So a new opportunity came up. In 1937, they opened a small drive-in restaurant in Pasadena, located just east of Glendale. People in Southern California had become very dependent on their cars, and the culture was changing to accommodate that, including its businesses. Drive-in restaurants were a phenomenon that sprang up in the early 30s, and they were becoming very popular. Rather than being invited into a dining room to eat, customers would drive into a parking lot around a small restaurant, place their orders with car hops, and receive their food in trays right in their cars. The food was served on china plates, complete with glassware and metal utensils. It was a timely idea in a society that was becoming faster paced and increasingly mobile. Dick and Maurice's tiny drive-in restaurant was a great success, and in 1940, they decided to move the operation to San Bernardino, a working-class boomtown 50 miles east of Los Angeles. They built a larger facility and expanded their menu from hot dogs, fries, and shakes to include barbecue beef, and pork sandwiches. Barbecue beef and pork sandwiches, hamburgers, and other items. Their business exploded. Annual sales reached $200,000, and the brothers found themselves splitting $50,000 in profits per year, a sum that put them in the town's financial elite. So I know now it's a good income, average income. In 1940, I mean,
Yeah.
I can't do the reverse calculation of inflation over the last 80 years, but yeah, that was a pretty decent chunk of money.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess here, and financial people out there, check my math. Let me know. I'll update it on the next episode. I'm gonna guess that was probably close to 1.5 to 2 mil a year in today's dollars.
I'm gonna say higher.
It could very well be. This is just an educated, estimated, total guesstimate. But to put it into perspective, right?
Yeah.
Not bad. That's net. That's not even their
Right.
revenue. That's net, I'm assuming. In 1948, their intuition told them that times were changing, and they made modifications to their restaurant business. They eliminated the car hops and started serving only walk-up customers. They also streamlined everything. They reduced their menu and focused on selling hamburgers. They eliminated plates, glassware, metal utensils, switching to paper products instead. They reduced their costs and the prices they charged their customers. They also created what they called the speedy service system. Their kitchen became an assembly line where each person focused on service with speed. Their goal was to fill each customer's order in 30 seconds or less, and they succeeded. By mid-1950s, annual revenue hit $350,000, and by then Dick and Marie split the net profits of about $100,000 each year.
Excellent.
They doubled up.
They just increased.
They just increased, absolutely. Who were these brothers? Back in those days, you could have found out by driving by their small restaurant on the corner of 14th and East Streets in San Bernardino. On the front of the small octagonal building hung a neon sign that simply said, what do you think?
McDonald's.
McDonald's hamburgers. Dick and Maurice McDonald's had hit great American jackpot, and the rest, as they say, is history, right?
No.
Wrong. The McDonald's never went any farther because of their weak leadership, put a lid on their ability to succeed. Now, halfway through this story, think about it for a second. What sounds like a pretty successful endeavor,
Yeah.
right? They're making a ton of money,
Yeah.
banging out hamburgers in 30 seconds, right? Serving people, they reduced their margins, and they were successful, right? They were knocking it out. They had their one organization. They did a great job, right? Not mad at that. They reinvented a whole system.
Yeah.
Right? There were other places coming up. This was this big test ground back in those days. Again, no affiliation here, but there's a movie anyway. Have you seen the movie The Founder?
Yeah, it's on Netflix, right?
It's on Netflix, yeah.
I started to
And
watch that, yeah.
It's with Michael Keaton, and he's not one of the brothers. We're going to get to him here in a second. But what I'm saying is there's a great movie. So if you want to hit pause, or after you finish the podcast and you want to watch The Founder and kind of get a little bit more in depth into the intricacies of this particular story, great movie, love it. Especially when they're in the tennis courts.
I started to watch it. I never finished it.
Great.
I got a call from my boss. He made me come do some things at work.
Excellent. Good. You should do those things.
I did, yeah.
Excellent.
Now we have shirts.
Now we have shirts. Returning to the book. That led them to the idea of marketing the McDonald's concept. The idea of franchising restaurants wasn't new. It had been around for several decades. To the McDonald brothers, it looked like a way to make money without having to open another restaurant themselves. In 1952, they got started, but their effort was a dismal failure. The reason was simple. They lacked the leadership necessary to make it effective. Dick and Maurice were good restaurant owners. They understood how to run a business, make their systems efficient, cut costs, and increase profits. They were efficient managers, but they were not leaders. Their thinking patterns clamped a lid down on what they could do and become. At the height of their success, Dick and Maurice found themselves smack dab against the law of the lid. Right?
Yeah.
So even though they were great in their organization, they topped out. They're not going any further. I made a couple notes here. We talk about this all the time in our restaurant. Help your team play to your strengths, right? Or play to your own strengths and know where your weaknesses are, and bring in others to help you compensate for those, so you can get the objective accomplished, get the mission accomplished, get the goal accomplished, however you want to look at it. Case in point, we've got phenomenal executive chefs. Do I understand cooking? Have I been trained as a chef? Do I know how to do it? Absolutely. Can I run the restaurant chained to the stove? Can't do it,
No.
right? Can we get all the amazing things done that you're doing if I'm just trying to do all that? No, it's not. That's
Right.
not my strength. So you got to bring people on and build your team. In addition to that, you've got to know, like we spoke about last episode, you got to know how you learn.
Right.
How you apply things so that you can, again, focus on where your strengths are and bring the team on. But now you're more leadership, right? Now you got to know how they learn. You got to
Right.
know all those things we talked about in episode 2. And the last part, a little note I have on this is you also have to detach, right? The brothers were so focused on speedy service, right? Making their burgers in 30 seconds or less. They weren't thinking about being better leaders. They
Right.
weren't thinking about how to, they thought, yeah, cool, great, build and grow. And when you watch that movie, it actually shows how much they actually tried to micromanage the
Yeah.
other franchises, and people were pissed.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it wasn't conducive for what they were trying to accomplish, right? So you have to be able to detach, and you can't get caught up in the minutia of the day-to-day details, because then you're lost. You're stuck in the weeds. You're bogged down, and you can't get out of it. Does that make sense?
Right.
You know, and you've got to be able to, like, think about it on the expo window. When you're busy and you're cranking and you're going and you're stuck on this one ticket and all these other tickets behind you are busy, or there's special information on them or whatever the case may be, and you're stuck on this foretop because someone said no sauce and you put sauce on it, and now the whole night's, you got to step back and be like, okay, well, what else is going on?
Right.
And what other problems are coming up so that I can manage this? I mean, you got to be able to detach, and that's on a very, very small aspect of it, but it's, in my mind, it's a very good example, because how many times have you seen a busy expo window and people just get flustered, they crash, they go down, and they can't get themselves caught back up.
Right.
Same thing's happening here, just at obviously a higher level. So the brothers partner with a leader, right? And things start to change. Who is that leader? In 1954, the brothers hooked up with a man named Ray Kroc, who was a leader. Kroc had been running a small company he founded, which sold machines for making milkshakes. Side note, clearly those machines weren't that great, because it's been 70 years and they still can't get a milkshake out of McDonald's. I'm not saying his machines were effective, but he was a good leader, so we'll
I really want to know if the machines are off or broke. I want to know. I never worked in fast food.
I bet if you determine that answer, there's money to be made there somehow, some way, either in fixing the machines.
Heard chief with ice cream machines now.
So he knew about McDonald's restaurant. I'm sorry, I can't read today. He knew about McDonald's. Their restaurant was one of the best customers, and as soon as he visited the store, he had a vision for its potential. In his mind, he could see the restaurant going nationwide in hundreds of markets. He soon struck a deal with Dick and Maurice, and in 1955, he formed McDonald's System, Inc., later called McDonald's Corporation. Kroc immediately bought the rights to a franchise so that he could use it as a model and prototype to sell other franchises. Then he began to assemble a team and build an organization to make McDonald's a nationwide entity. He recruited and hired the sharpest people he could find. We just talked about adding to your team, right? And as his team grew in size and ability, his people developed additional recruits with leadership skill. He's on to something here.
Yeah.
He might have figured it out a little bit.
Yeah.
In the early years, Kroc sacrificed a lot. Though he was in his mid-50s, he worked long hours, just as he had when he first got started in business 30 years earlier. He eliminated many frills at home, including his country club membership, which he later said added 10 strokes to his golf game. During his first 8 years with McDonald's, he took no salary. Not only that, but he personally borrowed money from the bank and against his life insurance to help cover the salaries of a few key leaders he wanted on the team. We're going to talk about this later in the series, but that right there, the law of sacrifice. A leader has to give up to go up, and he's doing that right there. And we're going to cover that in this book. I don't think it's in this series, but it's going to be in episode 2 or 3. But he gave up to go up, right?
Yeah.
His sacrifice and his leadership paid off. In 1961, for the sum of $2.7 million, again, a lot of money considering today's 60 years ago, right? Literally 60 years ago. Kroc bought the exclusive rights to McDonald's from the brothers, and he proceeded to turn it into an American institution and global entity. The lid in the life and leadership of Ray Kroc was obviously much higher than that of his predecessors. In the years that Dick and Maurice McDonald attempted to franchise their food service system, they managed to sell the concept to just 15 buyers, only 10 of whom actually opened restaurants. Right? Think about that. This is a great part. And even in that small enterprise, their limited leadership and vision were hindrances. For example, when their first franchisee, Neil Fox of Phoenix, told the brothers that he wanted to call his restaurant McDonald's, ready for this? Dick's response was, What for? McDonald's means nothing in Phoenix. You can't even go around the corner without a McDonald's, right? Imagine good luck watching like any sports games or anything without McDonald's. Go to China. Oh, McDonald's. Like, it's everywhere. Yeah. This guy's like, Phoenix, whatever. They don't know McDonald's. Between 1955 and 1959, Kroc succeeded in opening 100 restaurants.
Jesus.
Matt thinks we're on.
Yeah.
Matt thinks we're opening
95 more.
That's the goal, Matt. We gotta go. 4 years later, after that, there were 500 McDonald's. Today, the company has opened more than 21,000 restaurants in no fewer than 100 countries. Remember, this is 1997, so it's even more, right? Leadership ability, or more specifically, the lack of leadership ability, was the lid on the McDonald's brothers' effectiveness. Right?
Yeah.
The higher you want to climb, the more you need leadership. The greater the impact you want to make, the greater your influence needs to be.
That makes sense.
What do you think? Bless you.
Thank you.
That's it? You got to sneeze for that?
Yeah, that was it. That's what I think about you, McDonald's. Shit. No, I think that goes to show you're exactly right. I mean, remember the guy that we met that said that he couldn't leave his pizzeria?
Yeah.
He was like, I just don't trust anybody else to make the pies but me. And well, then you're not delegating very well, and you're not teaching your people very well.
You're not being a good leader, right?
Yeah.
Because you've got to influence them. It's funny is as you teach, you learn, right? So if you're constantly teaching what it is you do, you're actually learning more about it and getting better at it. And sometimes reminding yourself, oh, you know what? Sometimes I naturally cut this corner and do this thing because I understand the process so well and I've done it 1,000 times. I can, I can smell when that's being done.
Yeah, always good to get back to your roots, right?
Absolutely. So a little bit more of the law of the lid, and then we'll keep going. He's got a section in here in this chapter. It's titled "To Change the Direction of the Organization, Change the Leader." Right? Mm-hmm. And we're gonna read a little bit from here. Leadership ability is always the lid on personal and organizational effectiveness. If the leadership is strong, the lid is high. But if it's not, then the organization is limited. That's why in times of trouble, organizations naturally look for new leadership. When the country is experiencing hard times, it elects a new president. Pretty relevant.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless of whatever camp you're in, because there's lots of camps out there.
Oh, yeah.
But that's what happens. Regardless, right, wrong, you agree with it, disagree with it, irrelevant. What matters is that's exactly what happens, right?
Yep.
Just 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
When the inauguration was. So I mean, it's simple. You know, if you read Extreme Ownership, which we'll cover a little preview, chapter 2. It's titled "No Bad Teams, Only Bad Leaders."
Yeah.
And not to
God, I've heard that so many times.
Right, but it's true.
It is.
And not to spoil it, but they give an example of how they switched leaders in different SEAL boat teams and during a training process, and the good leader went to the worst performing boat and they won the very next time. So it's totally true, and organizations all the time, whenever you see, a CEO was fired or this was that was fired, that's the board of these organizations getting together and saying, you know what, we're going a different direction. The CEO's he or she's not engaged, committed, ethical, whatever the case may be, right? They need to change the organization because they say, hey, we've got to survive and thrive, and they're going to make the change with their leader. If in a department, sometimes you got to make departmental changes, right? Like if the kitchen crashes and burns every night, the food cost is horrible, your kitchen's trashed, disgusting, you're not passing your food codes, well, first, where's the ownership on that?
Right.
Whose is that? Is it the owner's fault? Absolutely. Is the owner going to fire himself? Probably not. It's the owner's fault for not holding those standards high and holding that chef accountable, right? In a major organization, like when I was with Darden at Capitol Grill at EV's Yard House, the director of operations would be like, what's going on? And he wouldn't hit my sous chef up.
Yeah.
Sometimes they wouldn't even hit me up. It would go right to the GM in Darden's organization. The general manager is the number one in the building, executive chef's number two. So they're going to go to the GM and be like, how are you allowing your chef to do this? This is on you. This is on your leadership, right?
Yeah.
And then the GM is going to come have a conversation with the executive chef, or maybe it's going to be collectively together, depending upon. And like, you gotta get your shit together. You know what I mean? So I can tell you this: if the GM is saying, yes, I'm coaching him, I'm guiding him, I'm holding him accountable, I'm doing these other things, that executive chef's going to have a very short tenure there. You know what I mean? Because they're not going to handle it. They're not going to fire the sous chef. They're not going to fire the line cooks.
No.
They're just doing what their leadership's allowing.
Yep.
So the relationship between leadership and effectiveness is evident in sports. For example, if you look at professional sports organizations, the talent on the team is rarely the issue. Just about every team has highly talented players. Well, that makes sense. If you're a professional ball player,
you've made it.
You didn't get there because you suck.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of talent, right? The leadership provided by the coach and several key players makes the difference. To change the effectiveness of the team, lift up the leadership of the coach. That's the law of the lid.
Unless you're Matt Patricia for the Detroit Lions. That's a
know
football
what
reference, don't
I don't know
worry.
what that means.
Football is
Yeah,
an oval. Oh, okay.
I get that. American football. It's really football.
Football, yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I see how it's integrated into, your everyday operation here. And it's exactly that. If the line cooks leave it dirty, you're not going to them. You're going to the chef. Hey, what's this? Why is that like that?
Yeah.
And that was the most polite way I could say that.
And my favorite thing is, and it's not, I mean, when we first opened, I'd get that all the time, oh, my line cook didn't do this. Clearly.
Yeah.
I see that. I'm very well aware of that. What did you do about it? You're the leader, you're the guy.
Yeah.
So what did you do about it? What did you allow? And why is your leadership influence not strong enough to get them to want to take care of their equipment?
Yeah.
To get them to want to take care of their product, to get them to want to take care of our guests, which takes care of all of our paychecks, right?
Right.
I like my paycheck cashes. I don't know about you guys, but I like that.
I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I like
so let's keep. We gotta do. I'm gonna have bills next week. Will you? Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's do this again and make sure you with me.
Yeah.
So, again, what did I just say? Leadership influence. Oddly enough, I didn't even plan this. Oddly enough, chapter 2, the law of influence. The true measure of leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Right? So, I'm gonna read this section here. If you don't have influence, you will never be able to lead others. So how do you measure influence? Here's the story to answer that question. In late summer of '97, people were jolted by two events that occurred less than a week apart, the deaths of Princess Diana and Mother Teresa. On the surface, the two women could not have been more different. One was a tall, young, glamorous princess from England who circulated in the high society. The other, a Nobel Peace Prize recipient, was a small elderly Catholic nun born in Albania who served the poorest of the poor in Calcutta, India. What's incredible is that their impact was remarkably similar. In 1996, a poll published by the London Daily Mail, Princess Diana and Mother Teresa were voted in the first and second places as the world's two most caring people. That's something that doesn't happen unless you have a lot of influence. How did someone like Diana come to be regarded in the same way as Mother Teresa? The answer is that she demonstrated the power of the law of influence. Right? So one of my favorite things about this particular book is that each one of these chapters with different laws has different stories tied to it throughout all parts of history, mostly recent history, but throughout all parts. So you can really see different angles and aspects of where and how all these things apply, right? So, and this is something I picked up from Jocko on his podcast. It says, when you know the way broadly, you see it in all things. So when you understand how these things apply, you can now see it, how it applies to you when you're at the service bar, at the bar, and you've got great guests over here, and you got problematic guests over here, which happened last week. That was fun.
Yeah.
and or whatever the case may be. Maybe you're a new position. You're a new boss. Maybe you're coming into a new restaurant, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's within your parent organization, maybe you just got hired as the chef, maybe you just got hired as the new GM. And what do? Like, you're coming in, maybe you're coming in to fix the whole thing. How many times I have to go help restore a restaurant and culture, product, execution, this, that, the other. And it was great. I loved it. Like, it was a challenge. But what do you, like, day one, like, what do you do? I'm your boss, listen to me. Good luck.
Yeah.
Right? You've got to develop your relationship so you can build influence. So, and that's how you measure that. So I'm going to summarize this real quick because there's a lot here. And again, you want to get all the details, get the book. But Princess Diana was a commoner. I didn't know this reading this. I had no idea. So I know there's a lot of people.
I knew a little bit about your story.
I never really got into it that much.
Mm-hmm.
But it was cool to learn and read this, and I learned a lot. And I know this is even summarized, but I'm going to summarize the summary. Princess Diana was a commoner. She went from being a kindergarten teacher to a princess. She was humble, shy, and she was very willing and able and ready to help people in need. She rallied people to causes such as a lot of AIDS research, leprosy, bans on landmines. Which I didn't realize that, but I know that those have been an issue, right? Because 50 years later, the conflict's over, and you're plowing your field, and boom, your cow blows up or something. Like, that's not good, or worse. I mean, it's a real thing that happens. I've seen her.
Boom, your cow blows up. That's
well,
excellent.
It doesn't go quietly.
Ugh.
It's a landmine. So my point is she tremendously helped the world.
Yeah.
And she did it through the world well-being first point of view. Mm-hmm. And the amount of people she was able to influence and help. It set the example of, hey, this individual who came from being a kindergarten teacher to princess of a country.
Yeah.
Right? Of a very well-established country, used to be like the world power.
Mm-hmm.
Till 1976 or 1776.
Yes.
America. But I mean, she was the princess of this amazing country, and she's going around helping everyone next to Mother Teresa, who's just doing the Lord's work.
Right.
And she's like close second.
Yeah.
That's pretty tremendous, right? And to be able to influence people around the world. I think right here, NBC estimated that the total audience numbered that watched her funeral was 2.5 billion people, more than twice the number of people that watched her wedding. So I think they said it was about 1 billion people that watched the wedding worldwide, and then 2.5 billion that watched the funeral. And I remember seeing it on TV.
Oh, I do too.
Like I was like, why are all these people, like, I didn't know at the time. I was 11. Like, I didn't register. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I didn't realize who she was. Princess Diana, you're a princess. All right, great. Like, is that like Disney stuff? Like, I didn't know that then. You know. And so, even just this.
I'm pretty sure my parents were crying.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people were crying.
But
that's the influence. Here we are in Florida.
Sorry, Mom, if you're watching. I just outed you for crying.
So, but I remember people being like, "That's a big deal," and I was like, "Oh yeah, she's a princess. Like, that'd be a big deal." But I didn't realize, you know what I mean? Even till now, like I just didn't know. Yeah. So, but again, that's why you learn. In this chapter, the question of leadership. Princess Diana has been characterized in many ways, but one word that I've never heard used to describe her is leader. Yes, that's what she was. Ultimately, she didn't make an impact because she once had a title. She made things happen because she was an influencer, and leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. I gotta backtrack a little bit because for whatever reason, I didn't highlight this. And I don't know the whole story, but obviously sometime between she got married and when she passed, she was divorced. She kept doing what she was doing. She kept working, so even though she didn't have the title anymore, and this is a key part, even though she was no longer Princess Diana, she still kept doing it, and that influence stayed with her until when she unfortunately passed. So that just tells you right there, you don't need a title to be a leader. You can lose your title and still be an amazing leader. Yeah. Leadership is not People have so many misconceptions about leadership. When they hear that someone has an impressive title or an assigned leadership position, they assume that he or she is a leader. Sometimes that's true, but titles don't have much value when it comes to leading. True leadership cannot be awarded, appointed, or assigned. It comes only from influence, and that can't be mandated. It has to be earned. The only thing a title can buy is a little time, either to increase your level of influence with others or to erase it. Boom. There's a lot of stuff in here about leadership influence, and again, paraphrasing, skipping through this so we can kind of quickly summarize it. Sorry, we're gonna go to the next one.
It said chief on there. Sparked my interest.
Rightfully so.
Yes.
Chapter 3, the law of process. Another good one here. Another one of my favorites so far.
Is this number 2?
This would be number 3. Oddly,
Okay.
it goes
It
in
goes in
order.
order.
I don't know.
Okay.
You did a very good job writing this book 24 years ago. The law of process. Leadership develops daily, not in a day. This is a really cool story too. And what I tell people all the time, I say, guys, is get 1% better.
Mm-hmm.
On a daily basis, get 1% better every day. Over 90 days, you're going to be 90% better. I didn't come up with that. I read that in another book, read that in this book, and I was like, oh, cool. This guy's saying it this way, this guy's saying it this way. How can I apply that to what we do, right?
Yeah.
And this example kind of really breaks it down. Because the people that think, oh, I'm just going to hang out and I'm going to coast and I'm going to do my job,
mm-hmm.
right? I'm going to just do it and hang out here. And because I show up, I'm owed the next position. That's what people think. People honestly believe that, well, because you were fortunate enough for me to show up and grace you with my presence, you now owe me whatever. Here's my blank check. This is what you owe me, right? This is what people think. And I'm like, all right, cool. So when are you going to step up and actually do that job that you want?
Yeah.
Like, oh, when I get the title, when I get the pay, when I get all the glamour and fame and the spotlight and this, that, the other.
The red carpet entrance when I
Yeah,
walk in.
and I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
Let me know when you get good at your job to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Because not that I'm holding it back, but that's the wrong mentality, right? You've got to. That's what I'm looking for. Again, I don't remember if we spoke about this last podcast or if it was in the last week in which I've been, working with the team. But I'm gonna briefly go through it again. If you're a line cook and you want to be a sous chef, go do the sous chef's job. I'm not saying step on his toes. It's like go make his job easier. Go learn. How can I help you? What can I do? Mm-hmm. Right? You're a server. You want to be a manager. You're an SA or a busser. You want to be a server. Just go do it. Go learn it. Go start to learn a few things. If you're a busser and you want to go be a server, come in one day and tell your manager you know everything that you can possibly know about the menu.
There you go.
Take that ownership. Go study it. Go do it. You're a bar back, you want to be a bartender? Learn everything, learn every measurement, learn every technique you can. Go buy a bartending book for $19.99 on Amazon. Go learn some things and then come and be like, I know more about this than the bartenders do. What happens is you're not going to do that in a day. You're going to get better over time. Does that make sense? And as you are leading yourself, you are now setting the example for others. And what happens is all of a sudden now, because you know 50%, 60%, 20%, 80% of that next level job,
mm-hmm.
now when you get that job, you just need to learn the other 20, 30%, because the other stuff you've already got figured out. And no one's going to be like, oh yeah, you do really good here. I'm going to give you something that's 10 times harder, increase your pay, this, that, the other, and then finally when you figure out that you're there, now I'll reward.
No.
It doesn't work. So here's a great example. Ann Schreiber was an aged woman when she died in January 1995. She was 101. She saw all the stuff.
Yeah.
For years, she had lived in a tiny, rundown, rent-controlled studio apartment in Manhattan. The paint on the walls was peeling. The old bookcases that lined the walls were covered in dust. Rent was $400 a month. Schreiber lived on Social Security and a small monthly pension, which she started receiving in 1943 when she retired as an auditor for the IRS. She hadn't done very well at the IRS. More specifically, the agency hadn't done right by her. Despite having a law degree and doing excellent work, she was never promoted. And when she retired at age 51, she was making only $3,150 a year.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, I don't know how that math works because
Because
if her
400,
rent,
it's
yeah,
400 a month.
but okay,
That's $4,800, right? Okay.
little discrepancy there.
Yeah.
Not with the book, but with her finances.
Yeah.
Watch this. She was treated very, very shabbily, said Benjamin Clark, who knew her as well as anyone did. She really had to fend for herself in every way. It was really quite a struggle. Schreiber was the model of thrift. She didn't spend money on herself. She didn't buy new furniture as the old pieces she owned became worn out. She didn't even subscribe to a newspaper. About once a week, she would go to the public library and read the Wall Street Journal. Excellent publication, by the way. Windfall. Get this. Imagine the surprise to Norman Lamb, the president of Yeshiva University in New York City, when he found out that Ann Schreiber, a little old lady whom he had never heard of and whom he had never attended, and who had never attended yeshiva, left nearly her entire estate to the university. What estate? When I saw the will, this is quoting Mr. Lamb. When I saw the will, it was mind-blowing. Such an unexpected windfall, said Lamb. This woman had become a legend overnight. The estate Ann Schreiber left to Yeshiva University was worth $22 million.
How?
I'm happy you asked. Excellent question.
I'm trying to do it in my head, but I can't think of a way.
Literally, the book says, here's the answer.
Excellent.
Mr. Maxwell's talking to you.
Oh.
By the time she retired from the IRS in 1943, Ann Schreiber had managed to save $5,000. She invested that money in stocks. By 1950, she had made enough profit to buy 1,000 shares of Schering Plow Corporation stock, then valued at $10,000, and she held on to that stock, letting its value build. Today, those original shares have split enough times to produce 128,000 shares worth $7.5 million. The secret to Schreiber's success was that she spent most of her life building her worth. Whether her stock's value went up or down, she never sold it off with the thought, I'm finished building, now it's time to cash out. Most people do that. They're like, hey, I've made it to this position, now I can rest on my heels, rest on my laurels, I'm good, I don't need to do anything else, I don't need to get better, I don't need to have leadership. And then what happens?
Yeah. Nothing. You stay stagnant.
Or you get fired.
Oh yeah.
Because you're not contributing anymore. Like, yep. I made it. I'm sous chef. Yep, I'm executive chef. And it's cool. It's cool to be like, hey, you know what? I'm where I want to be, but I'm going to continue to do a great job, and I can continue to contribute.
Then you start doing your personal growth instead of
and you're growing your team.
Yeah.
You know how many people
challenging yourself.
Yes. When it came to finances, Schreiber understood and applied the law of process. The secret to Schreiber's success was that she spent most of her life building her net worth. Whether her stock's value went up or down, she never sold it off with the thought, I'm finished building, now it's time for me to cash out, right? People, I've seen it all the time where people are like, yep, I made it to where I'm done, now I don't have to contribute anything else, and I can just chill and hang out. You've seen it, I've seen it. You know, there's two ways that I've seen it happen. Exactly like that, or the right way, which is some people are like, hey, you know what, I'm good at being a sous chef, I'm good at being a restaurant manager, GM, executive chef, whatever, right? But they don't stop. They don't stop contributing value. They don't stop helping to teach and coach their team, running a good restaurant operation. And I think that's really the nobility in that. Because some people are like, hey, you know, I'm good where I'm at. My work-life balance is great, and I'm happy. And that's to be commended. It's the others that are like, yeah, I made it. I'm good. I don't have to do anything else. My name's on my coat. I got a business card with a general manager. I can just kind of chill and hang out. Yeah. Name on coat, heard. She was in for the long haul, the really long haul. When she earned dividends, which kept getting larger and larger, she reinvested them. She spent her whole lifetime building. While other people worry that they may run out of funds before the end of their lives, the longer she lived, the wealthier she became. When it comes to finances, Schreiber understood and applied the law of process. So what is this little old lady living in a rent-controlled apartment with no paint and no money have to do with $22 million of an estate that she was able to leave behind after being retired for 50 years? What does that have to do with leadership?
Well, go ahead. I don't want to spoil it.
Leadership is like investing. It compounds. Becoming a leader is a lot like investing successfully in the stock market. If your hope is to make a fortune in a day, you're not going to be successful. What matters most is what you do day by day over the long haul. The secret of our success is found in our daily agenda. If you continually invest in your leadership development, letting your assets compound, the inevitable results is growth over time, right? That's that 1% day by day. Just keep building, get a little bit better at it, get a little bit better at building your relationships with people. It takes time. It doesn't happen tomorrow. So anyone who thinks that, oh, I'm going to go read one leadership book and boom, now I figured it out, I got it, you're wrong. You've got to check yourself every day. You've got to continue to build and learn and grow. Even go back and refresh this. Like this, going through this was awesome. It refreshed my memory on some things. And actually, you know what's funny? I went through this to prep for today, and I'm going through some other material to prep for a leadership conference we're doing next week at Kyle G's on the ocean. And one of the leaders texted me, he's like, hey, I got a leadership problem. What do I do about such and such? And I don't know who he was talking about, because I give the team the ability to deal with it. And I was like, it's funny, and I even told him, I said, I just read this, like I forgot I just read things and then it all just goes in the bank up here, and I'm just like, yep, that's what you do. Boom, got it. Oh, I don't know what to do about that, but I know where to find that answer. Anyway, I was like, I just read this, oddly enough. I'm like, here's what you do. And he was like, great idea. And I thought about it. I was like, cool, let me know how it works out. Let me know how I can help you support that. And I asked what the scenario was. I didn't ask who the team member was, because I trust the team to be able to make those moves and decisions, and I because I know their character and their skill set, right? So he was like, cool, didn't think of that. He's like, I'm gonna change my plans a little. I was like, got it.
Excellent.
So it was a great text message late in the evening, watching my cartoons, and I'm just kidding. Next section, leaders or learners. Let me give that one to you again. Leaders are learners.
Oh, absolutely.
In a study of 90 top leaders from a variety of fields, leadership experts Warren Bennis and Bert Nanis made a discovery about the relationship between growth and leadership. That discovery is, it is the capacity to develop and improve their skills that distinguishes leaders from their followers. Successful leaders are learners, and the learning process is ongoing, a result of self-discipline and perseverance. The goal each day must be to get a little bit better to build on the previous day's progress. You know what that sounds like? It sounds like one of the core values that that I implemented when we opened this up. And I say I because at first it was just me, but then it's become we now that we have a team. And I hope I don't get sued, but I took it from Capitol Grill and Eddie V's from my experience there, because they had great core values. It was some of the best training I received, and it works. And it goes like this. It says, we are committed to continuous improvement, getting better day by day, shift by shift. That's the Capitol Grill version. Eddie V says, best today, better tomorrow. All sounds like this. So I just put them both together, exactly like that, and put it into some of our core values because it works, and I hope they don't have it trademarked. So I don't market it, but it's within our organization. So, and this is not me marketing it, but it makes sense, and it works, and it's applicable to the concept of, if we can continue to improve what we do at any level of our organization, I'm not worried about what the competitor does. I'm not worried about what the guy down the street does. I'm not worried about what somebody else said, they don't use the real beef or whatever it is, or whatever. I'm gonna work on doing what we do, getting better day by day, shift by shift. Rest of the day, better tomorrow, right? Because I know if we can continue to improve on what we do within our four walls, through our service, through our systems, through our product, through the delivery of our message of how we do that, we're competing with ourselves, with the person in the mirror, so that we can improve on that. I don't need to worry about what other organizations near to me or on the other side of the country do. That's great. Let them do what they do, and I'm happy to go there and enjoy their experience with me. And so people are like, well, how do you? I'm like, I just work on being better than I was yesterday. Yeah. That's it. That's all we've got to focus on. And business operators, really, I can't encourage that enough, because it's important to focus on your guests, your customers, your team, and build on that. Does that make sense? Yeah. The 4 phases of leadership growth. This is my favorite. This actually, when I learned this, when I kind of went through this, and actually, I found this book when I was a sous chef in training at Eddie V's, and the managing partner, I think he recommended it to me, Randy, the guy we talked about, he's the guy who was serving my first big
Your first
slice of humble pie, which
yeah.
I'm wearing the humble pie shirt today.
Yep.
Thanks, Randy. I probably owe you money. I'll get you some royalties. But yeah, no, I mean, it's this was really cool, and this really helped me as a young leader open my eyes to the process and the ability. Because most people are like, oh, well, I just don't get it. And you've been doing it for so long. I mean, well, yeah, because I've been doing it so long. It doesn't happen overnight. So
Right.
you've got to just continually work at it, right? Like sports athletes. How many times did Kobe shoot in the gym? How many times did Michael Jordan go in and practice? How many? Do you ever listen to The Rock? He's like, okay, cool. We're filming at 10. Great. I'm getting up at 2. I'm gonna do 2 hours of working out. I'm gonna go eat, and then I'm gonna do another session of 2 hours. And I'm 6 hours before we even start filming. I've already worked out 2 times and done all kinds of shit. Like, that's that level of commitment. So, The Rock didn't just become The Rock. He didn't wake up and just be like, what happened? You know what I mean? So it's that continual process, and the 4 phases of leadership really map it out in a very clear, concise manner. When I learned this, I was like, oh, I think I fit in this box. And then you can work towards that. So phase 1, I don't know what I don't know, right? You don't know what you don't know.
I don't know what I don't know.
How could you know what you don't know? If you don't know what you don't know, and I say figure it out, you're gonna be like, well, what am I figuring out?
Right.
So most people fail. Let's back to the book. Most people fail to recognize the value of leadership. That is so true. I said that earlier, especially in restaurants. We don't get that training when we first start in restaurants of good leadership. Or we're in the restaurants, they're kind of like pirate ships. It's like a bunch of people with tattoos and crazy hair and beards. Sometimes, some. Okay, my bad. But what I'm saying is like it's kind of like the last frontier of piracy.
Oh, yeah.
Does that make sense? And it's great. It's so much fun.
I've been hearing you say this for however many years. This is the last of real piracy.
No, it's true. But they even make memes, right? You ever see the memes front of the house, back of the house, and it's like a bunch of cheerleaders. The back of the house is like the picture of like the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yep.
The second movie that with all the
boat
sea creatures,
the
Davy Jones and like the starfish on his face, right? but it's true though.
Bootstrap Bill.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is most people, and you know what? Listen, in the restaurant industry, it's no lie. There's a lot of people that love this industry and they do a great job, and there's a lot of people that are in it because they're just in it because they can't or won't get a job anywhere else. There's some programs that we have where we work with people, specifically some nonprofit organizations in our area, where the people that they help, maybe they had they did something silly when they were 14 and got in legal trouble for it.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to pass a background check to go work at such and such place. And I'm like, hey, well, you know what? I'll take those people because I can show them a way to build skills. We can show them a way to build a career. We can show them that they can build their resume, and if they stay with us and ascend with us, perhaps maybe when they go to get their next job, it can be a little bit of proof that they're not the same 14-year-old they were that was doing silly things, and that they've grown up, matured, and now at 19, 20 years old, they've got a good track record, and they can say, hey, I've got work experience, I've got experience dealing with people, I've got those soft skills.
Yeah.
And so you have all these different personalities, experiences, histories, people, cultures, ethnicities, and so it's just a great melting pot of I think it's awesome. I thoroughly love it. I've learned so much from everyone I've worked with from 14 to yesterday. You know what I mean? And it's still ongoing. But my point is we don't learn the value of leadership in the restaurants when we first start. Hopefully, we're in an organization that has good leadership, but most of the time, and I think it's true with most organizations, we're not. Because there's people by nature are very self-serving, very egotistical, and that's what they're focused on. Yeah. What am I going to get out of this? Blah, 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 blah. So when I say most people fail to recognize the value of leadership, what I mean, well, when he says that, but when I read it and talk about it, I look at the people that have just gone through it, and those are those egotistical people. They've gone through it, they're here, they're just like, whatever, I just want to take what I can take out of this and go home. And that's where they fail to value the aspect of leadership, and they can build their organization up. It doesn't matter what level of restaurant you're at, what level of service, or whatever your organization is. That leadership is key. And people ask me, I need help hiring people. Where do you find good people? I interview for their character, and then I build their skill set. There's no good team member, good line cook, great server. There's no tree out there. I'm gonna go.
There's not a section on Indeed that says I only want good people.
Yeah, no, you've got it. And so you've got to build that and instill that and make them want to do it, and that's through leadership, right? So, phase 1, I don't know what I don't know. Most people fail to recognize the value of leadership. They believe that leadership is only for a few, for the people at the top of the corporate ladder. They have no idea of the opportunities they're passing up when they don't learn to lead. Right?
Yeah.
Boom. Simple. Next phase 2. I know what I don't know. Give that one to you again. I know what I don't know. What does that mean? So that means usually at some point in life we are placed in a leadership position only to look around and discover that no one else is following us. That's when we realize that we need to learn how to lead. And of course, that's when it's possible for the process to start. English Prime Minister Benjamin Disraeli wisely commented, "To be conscious that you are ignorant of the fact is a great step to knowledge." Right? So to be aware and understanding of, hey, I don't know this, is step number 1.
Right.
Right? So sometimes we're placed in leadership positions. Sometimes somebody called out sick and they're like, hey, I need you to do this job. Can you step up and do it?
Yeah.
Sometimes, I don't know, that can be at home too, right? Sometimes you've got to be put in a position. I mean, God forbid, how many times do you hear stories of, and this is sad to say, but it's a true thing. Maybe someone's family member passed away, right? And now the oldest brother has to be the man of the house, right? Mm-hmm. or parents, God forbid something happened to them, and that oldest sibling has to take care of the younger siblings, and there are no other parents, or whatever the case may be. I mean, our world is full of these heart-wrenching stories of where sometimes we as individuals were thrown into leadership without wanting to be there, and we don't have a choice but to. And there's, with that being said, as heart-wrenching and tough as it is, there's also a lot of beautiful stories that come out of that. And to me, what I think about that is that's the leadership process in action, and that's kind of how someone who has the leadership ability or is forced into it can take a tragedy and turn it into something positive and help influence, even if it's just their one younger sibling.
Right.
That's a huge win. You know what I mean? And so when you think about all these things that happen on a personal level, it really makes you stop and think, right? But with that being said, relating it back to the professional level, you can get thrown into these positions, and you got to figure it out. And hopefully you can, and hopefully if you don't know, you're smart enough to go ask or learn or study or read or something. But again, leaders are learners, so start learning.
Yeah.
Listen, the world is full of things for us to utilize to learn. There's so many little courses you can take online, videos, this, that, the other. I don't know. I mean, you don't need to go be a college degree at this point. You can go learn these things, hit these courses, pick up some books. That's what I did.
Makes sense.
I was like, hey, I can't afford to go to college, so I'm going to buy the used textbooks for $5.99 from BarnesandNoble.com of the things I'm interested in that I would want to go to college for, and I'm going to read them.
Yeah.
You moved all my books.
5 times in 12 months.
So, listen, there's more. You should see all the books.
No, I'm not going to.
Phase 3, I grow and know, and it starts to show, right? When you recognize your lack of skill and begin the daily discipline of personal growth and leadership, exciting things start to happen. A lot of movement, as Matthew would say.
Yeah, lots of move.
Which should be on this podcast, but he is being a leader in our restaurants today.
Excellent.
So hopefully we're going to get him on the next episode or two.
The people have been waiting for you, Matt. Where are you? Come on.
High demand, Matthew, high demand.
Stab me.
But yeah, so now you're growing.
Yeah.
And you're starting to learn a little bit, you're growing, but you're still in that learning process. You're still understanding, but you're able to apply it, and you're able to start seeing results, right? You're able to, I got this guy to follow me, I got that guy to follow me. Like I've got some momentum going on here, and I'm still not 100% sure about all of it, but we're making progress. And then phase 4 is I simply go because of what I know. Gotta go.
You gotta go.
Gotta go, right? There's no other choice. The world's not going to stop for us. As much as we like to think it revolves around us, that's our ego. You got to put it in check. The world is not going to stop for us. It was here before we got here. It's going to be here after we go. So you've got to go, and you've got to keep the tempo, and you've got to be able to keep moving, especially if you're managing a team. You've got to keep that team moving forward, because at the end of the day, in order for you to accomplish whatever it is, you need your team. So, which means you need to have effective leadership, which means you need to have all these tools in your toolbox able to be deployed at the time in which they need to be deployed, right? So, I simply go because of what I know. When you're in phase 3, you can be pretty effective as a leader, but you have to think about every move you make, right? You're like, well, should I do this? Should I not do this? Is it the law of the lid, or is it the law of process? Like, what do I do? Right? I've been there. I get it. Sometimes I'm still there. It's okay. It's fun. I'm like, well, what do I do here? I go find a book, right?
Yeah.
However, when you get to phase 4, your ability to lead becomes almost automatic. And that's when the payoff is larger than life. But the only way to get there is to obey the law of the process and pay the price. To lead tomorrow, learn today. Boom. But it's not over.
Okay.
It's more.
But wait, there's more.
So, I'm going to go through this segment real quick. Leadership is developed daily, not in a day. That is the reality dictated by the law of process. Benjamin Disraeli asserted, "The secret of success in life is for a man to be ready for his time when it comes. What a person does on a disciplined, consistent basis gets him ready, no matter what the goal." Basketball legend Larry Bird became an outstanding free throw shooter by practicing 500 shots each morning before he went to school. I'm going to butcher this name, but I'm going to do my best. Demosthenes of ancient Greece became the greatest orator by reciting verses with pebbles in his mouth and speaking over the roar of the waves at the seashore. And he did it despite having been born with a speech impairment. The same dedication is required for you to become a great leader. Discipline.
Sounds like some discipline.
Speaking of discipline, little sour apple sniper.
Thanks for bringing one.
Thanks, Choco. It was my last one.
Yeah.
I wasn't disciplined in my reordering of the discipline go. So maybe I will be after I drink some discipline in the can. The next section titled "Fight Your Way Up." There's an old saying, and this I talk about this. I talk about this all the time with our team in our pre-shifts, right? And I'm gonna read this and I'm gonna relate it back. This thing here, it's. I mean, we talked about it a little bit already, but I think even last podcast we did, and we'll probably more. It's the concept is the same consistently, but there is an old saying: champions don't become champions in the ring; they are merely recognized there, and that's true. If you want to see where someone develops into a champion, look at his daily routine. Former heavyweight champ Joe Frazier stated, "You can map out a fight plan or a life plan, but when the action starts, you're down to your reflexes. That's where your road work shows. If you cheated on that in the dark of the morning, you're getting found out now under the bright lights." Right?
Yeah.
The road work is their running, their boxing, their boxing techniques, or their boxing training, all their combinations, all the hard stuff to do to be just in shape and fit, right? Boxing is a good analogy for leadership development because it is all about daily preparation. Even if a person has a natural talent, he has to prepare and train to become successful. So, well, how does any of that have to do in a restaurant industry? Well, I'll tell you what, when you look at your reservations, you come in, there's 50 covers on the books, it's going to be a slow night. You hit those 50 covers, you prep your station, you handle your station on the floor the exact same way, just maybe with a little less product,
Absolutely.
but the exact same way as you would when you've got 600 covers on the books. And you take care of them as best as possible, regardless of, don't slack, because what's going to happen? You're going to get a pop, you're going to get that walk-in 20 top, all of a sudden you're going to get hit all at once, and you're like, oh, I don't have my backups, oh, I have too many tables, I didn't realize, oh, I only set up one side of the bar. You know how many times I'm like, why are we setting up one side of the bar? Like, what are you doing? What do you do when the bar fills up? Well, look, it's going to be slow. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess my crystal ball broke today. I'm glad yours is working. And all of a sudden, boom, they get popped and they're running in the weeds and they're having a horrible shift.
Is it sadistic that I enjoy seeing that? Not like the weeds, but not necessarily like
it's not in our restaurants.
No, like in a nightclub. Like, oh, it's going to be slow tonight. Like, how do you know that? Yeah, we just know. Okay. And then they shut down one side of the bar and then... or they shut down the other satellite bar. And now you're 6 deep and people are complaining about service when all you had to do was just open your other bar that you would normally do any other night.
It's just
same
ice,
thing here.
fruit juice,
Exactly. And if anything,
soda gun.
if you're down to 50 covers, then why not, again, sharpen your skills. Use that time to say, you know what, maybe I'll use a server as an example. You know what, I always forget to offer them dessert. You know, or maybe I always forget to try and get them a drink off the menu because whatever. Well, use that time and brush up on your skills because your motor functions and your natural reflexes is exactly that. If you keep doing that, when I DJ, I don't care if there's 3 people in front of me or if there was 9,000 in front of me at Boca at the Meisner Park.
You're gonna do the same.
I'm doing the same thing because I need to.
It's daily preparation, and that's what I talk about when I say I talk about this in pre-shifts all the time. I say, again, Larry Bird didn't become Larry Bird, the all-star, by just being born and being named Larry Bird.
Yeah.
Right? There's no like cosmic energy. Maybe there is. I don't know. But I'm just saying, probably not. Cosmic energy is like destiny has it for you, Larry
Being
Bird.
6'6" probably helps.
Okay, so he was born like that. All right, fair enough. But
yeah.
I mean, Shaq's big. He wasn't great at free throws.
Yeah, I swear I was going to say that.
I mean, you know what I mean?
I know a good example of that is, I know you don't follow football, but there's a guy named Tom Brady. Ever heard of him? I've heard of him. Okay. He's a 6-time Super Bowl champion. He's playing in his 10th Super Bowl next Sunday. I read somewhere that his diet, every calorie intake that he does every single day is mapped out 2 years in advance. That man knows what he's having for lunch August 8th of 2022.
Well, that's daily preparation.
That's extreme.
That's extreme daily preparation.
But, that's, like you said, and he wasn't born.
But that's commitment and dedication.
Exactly.
Like speaking with rocks in your mouth, like Demosthenes.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's pretty intense. But that's why he's winning.
Yeah, that's why he's
won 6, maybe 7.
Yeah,
he's going for number 10. I mean, I would imagine to be you correct me if I'm wrong, and obviously NFL is a pretty physical contact heavy sport. Yeah. So to be at that level for 10 years of being, is it 10 years back to back?
No,
consecutive?
No.
So he's been in the game for a long time, is what I'm saying. So to be in the game for a decade, just at the Super Bowl level, let alone the times he didn't make it, in a sport that's has as much intense physical contact, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, is he lucky or is he?
No, it is. I mean, it's.
God bless him. I don't know.
I use it as the example.
No, it's a great example.
I don't.
And you know what? Someone like me who doesn't pay attention to it or follow it, just didn't grow up around it. I get that. You know what I mean? So that's awesome. Yeah, I tell people all the time in pre-shifts, I'm like, it's slow. Just like you said, now's the time to get good at those skill sets. Brush up on your steps of service. Spend more time engaging with your guests, building those relationships, whether they're at the bar, whether they're at the table for the cooks. Spend more time on making sure that technique that you're doing to make that plate is exactly how the chef told you.
Yep.
Because and figure out how you can streamline and systemize those things that you're doing so that it's simple, it's muscle memory. Like if I'm working a station, I don't even need to look where my ladles are. I don't need to know where my squeeze bowls are. I don't know. I know where my knife pans are, my garnishes, and I'm just going and going through the process and grabbing my product, going because I want to spend time focusing on the technique, the plate up, and making sure that the timing with the other stations is right so that all the food can come out together, hot, prepared the way it's intended to, etc., etc.
Right.
And when you can do that and do those foundations, like the level of mastery is doing the basics the right way, consistently. You can do one thing 1,000 times, you can do 1,000 things right one way. I'd rather the one thing done 1,000 times the right way, consistently, right? I don't need you to do 1,000 things greatly once.
Yeah,
that doesn't work, and that doesn't not just for me. That doesn't work for you, the team. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you're good today. Okay, great. But the next 2 weeks, you're gonna be horrible.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks for your contribution. With that, I know we're gonna be respectful of your time, Andres' time, our listeners' time.
Yes.
We only got to, I think, 5. Yeah, 5.
3,
5, 4, 3. I get so involved with this. Sometimes I gotta detach a little. I think we're on episode or chapter 4.
Good.
But you know what? So maybe it's gonna be longer than 3 series, and that's okay because we've got time. And maybe we'll have to.
We'll figure it. We'll figure it
out. So leadership. What else do we have to help us lead? What do we have?
We have reminders.
We do have reminders.
We do. We have them in the form of apparel.
Apparel.
Yeah. So we have shirts. We'll put the link up above my head, as that's where Andres tells me it's going to go. Let's hope. The shirts, yeah, I'll dive into that. Obviously, like I said in the beginning, we have our branded shirts for each of the restaurants, including the Oyster Bar, which should be opening.
Drywall inspection passed today.
Boom. All right.
Finally.
I like that.
A lot of progress.
Lots.
We're shooting for April to May to be open. We've got obviously more inspections and permits to do, but we're moving in the right direction. It'll be worth the wait, promise.
So we're going to do a bunch of apparel. We already have it. It's already on our website. Feel free to check them out. They're excellent. They're great shirts.
Great shirts. Yeah. Humble pie. If you need to, let's talk about humble pie real quick. Well, we did talk about episode 1, right? And you got to serve yourself the first slice of pie.
Oh yeah.
You always got to check yourself, right? So I like this. This is a little daily reminder. You know, it's a good time. You know what I like to wear the humble pie shirt to the gym. I like to wear it to the gym.
Excellent.
Because you know why? Because everyone's watching. If you walk by and I go, humble pie. You know, I'm not the biggest guy in the gym. I just started going, like, whatever. Don't care. Like I said, I'm not trying to bench press trucks anytime soon. However, I feel great when I leave. Feel great. Well, usually great in the morning, unless it's leg day. But it's a good way to remind yourself that there's always somebody out there that's a little bit stronger, a little bit more advanced. Yeah. And it's a great way to. So I wear that.
As your humble reminder?
As my humble reminder, yeah, absolutely. And then it's like, I need to get that extra rep in. I need to get that extra set in because I want to continue to be better than I was yesterday. Yeah. If you go to the gym and just do the same set all the time, it's not really, I'm not bodybuilders here, but I want to be healthy. Listen, I'm going to be around for a while.
So we got some humble pie, we got boom.
We got boom,
Kyle's been saying boom for the 20 years we've been friends. Gotta go. Yep. Yeah, we gotta figure it out. We got that on the shirt as well. I know I'm missing one too.
You are missing one. Get it done.
We gotta get it done. Oh, look at that. That goes in there. Yeah. Speaking of get it done, can you explain to these nice people and me why I'm in a chef coat?
Oh, good. I'm glad.
And actually, can we add pictures? We can add a picture into somewhere in here, right? I'm sorry if you're just listening to the podcast, but you have to watch it.
Why don't you explain the picture for our audio?
I was going to pull it up, but May 13th of 2011.
I remember seeing it.
Yep. Actually, May 12th, Kyle called me at 9 o'clock at night and said, "Boom, what up?" I said, "What's going on?" "Hey, man, you know how you said you want to learn how to cook?" Yeah. Dude, awesome. Yeah, meet me at, and I won't say the place's name since it's no longer there, at like 10 in the morning. Okay, don't worry about, just wear jeans, I'll bring you a chef coat. So anyway, we're going to get to reenact that picture tonight. That was my first foray, basically, into it, and Kyle made me cook a 5-course beer dinner for 65 people.
Excellent leadership.
With just me and Kyle, and somebody named Stash. that showed up and left. He was there for 7 minutes. He grabbed a hotel pen.
I remember that.
And parchment paper. And I was like, dude, I gotta go. And I'm like, why are you even here? You did literally, okay, great, thanks. I guess you're taller than me and okay. So we get to reenact that picture tonight because
we're doing our first post-COVID wine tasting dinner tonight at the Ocean, which we should probably hurry up and get to at some point. But yeah, no, we're doing a Orange Swift wine tasting dinner, and actually, what's great about this is Dalton, our wine director, and Percy, our executive chef over there, who has been our executive chef from day one and a good friend of ours for a dozen years. They're putting it together. And Dalton just got promoted to wine director. He's been a server with us for 2 years. Again, leadership. He's been investing so much time, energy. Guy got 98% on his WSET course. He's continuing to learn. He's doing great at leadership. He's leaders or learners, all this stuff. He's took a huge interest in wine. I mean, this guy's just really knocking out the park.
Yeah,
so I said, good, put a wine dinner together. Taste the wines with Rico, Orange Swift, phenomenal wines. Looking forward to it. They tasted it to get the chef together, use it, manage it, get it done. So I'm actually going as a guest tonight. I'll help them work it and stuff like that. But this is all them. This is their show, and I'm super excited about it. Dalton's put them together the first Monday of every month. So the next one you can sign up for on Open Table. Okay. It's going to be March 1st. Which is a Monday. Mm-hmm. You can sign up on Open Table. If you just go to the date, you should see the wine tasting dinner. So we with Stag's Leap Wine Cellars with our rep from Southern, Jake. And Dalton's putting that together, and Percy. And they're handling this series of wine tasting dinners on the Ocean. Excellent. I'm super proud of these guys. Dalton's probably learned more about wine than I have at this point, which I mean, I'm not the guru by any means. I just haven't had the time to learn it because I've been focused on leadership and our brands. But that's where, again, bring the members of the team on and let them execute. So, tonight we're doing it. It's sold out. So if you want to come, by the time this posts, it'll be after the wine.
But if you want to come to the next one, March 1st.
Yes, exactly. March 1st. Again, go on Open Table and go to Kyle G's, go to March 1st. You'll see it there. But yeah, we're gonna do some pretty kick-ass stuff, man. I'm excited. And these guys have they've got their passion for it. They're doing this, and you know what? It's great about it. It's a good cover move, so we can still do what our guests are used to pre-COVID with these great wine tasting dinners. Mm-hmm. Have a great experience, showcase these wines, let our culinary team have some creativity, and it's allowing me to move into some of our other projects. We talked about the Oyster Bar, right? We've got our merchandise, our shirts. You want to help support the podcast? We've got our shirts and more things to come. We're gonna have some books, some cookbooks, some cocktail books, some leadership through the lens of hospitality books, where we can recap a lot of what we do.
Yeah.
On the form of paper,
yes.
Kindle, and then why don't you real quick before we close up, talk a little bit about the promenade.
Excellent. Well,
because you asked for it.
I did.
This was all your idea, yours and Matt's. So
sorry, Matt. So yes, if you guys follow the brand and you're well aware of the restaurants, we now have a catering hall and banquet hall. We have assumed the responsibility for
as of today,
yeah.
It's official.
It's official. Yes. I notarized that. We officially took over the Promenade on the River. It's a beautiful 2-story venue in Port St. Lucie, where we're going to do all types of theme things. My idea for the general part was to do weddings. A lot of people asked to rent out the Ocean. Hey, can we do our wedding here?
Yeah.
Or they've asked, hey, can I do that? So now we really have allowed people a culinary adventure from before birth. If you want to have your baby shower there till your wedding day. So just another way to get people fed and serve them smiles one plate at a time.
There you go. I love it. Yeah, we're excited about it. We're going through all our licensing now, so we've got a little bit of time before we are able to start booking a lot of things. Obviously, we got to get a food service license, liquor license, sales tax, city licenses. So we got some time, but it's coming. It's on the horizon. So I'm excited. We're looking forward to it.
It's the most I've ever spoken on the podcast.
This is great. Listen, I love it. But no, you know what? We're moving in the right direction. We've got a great team. We've got great guests, and I'm very excited to to move in through the end of winter, spring, and into summer. We got a lot of projects coming up, a lot of opportunity for leadership, a lot of opportunity for great experiences.
We have a job fair.
Yeah, I don't know when this will post, but it's one of many.
Yeah.
Because when we post this, it might take a few days to get on the podcast streams, but it's on the 3rd. It's Wednesday.
Yeah,
it's in 2 days.
It's Tuesday. Yeah, 2 days. Yeah.
It's in 2 days.
Well, if we upload it if Ayala Films puts it on YouTube tonight.
I'm sure they'll figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out.
No pressure.
Yeah, you'll get it done.
But no, with that, let's close it up. I know we all got things to do in our world of leadership. Again, Ayala Films, thank you guys so much for being our videographer of choice for our podcasts and anything video related that we do for the brand. Thank you to who else do we have to thank for this? Other than hold on, let's thank John Maxwell.
Yeah,
right? And
Mr.
Maxwell for decades of leadership and guidance and coaching and the work you continue to do on a day-to-day basis down in Palm Beach Gardens. I seriously can't thank you enough. You've changed my life, and I know many others. So if you are watching this, thank you. If you're not watching this,
then you don't have a message.
You don't have a message, you're not going to hear it. But one day I'll hopefully get to shake your hand and thank you in person. But it's we've got an amazing team that's handling all our organizations right now. To all of our hourly team members, thank you guys for coming in and getting 1% better on a daily basis, focusing on your personal leadership and making our restaurants not only a great place to dine, but a great place to work. It's on you guys, and I couldn't be more happy and thankful or humbled.
Excellent.
Wow, the humble pie.
All right, make sure you click subscribe, give us a like, feel free to share it, and leave your comments below for his math about inflation.
I forgot about that. All right, thank you guys. We'll see you next episode. 4-part series now.